friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you my November setup. So before setting up this month, I talked with my friend from the channel Azuki Bean Hobbies about what theme I should do this month. So originally I wanted to do one of the ideas that I had quite some time ago where I wanted to show two worlds colliding. Basically one world on one side and another world on another side. For example, dark and light or ocean and sky, something like that. We bounced a lot of different ideas off of each other, and in addition to the light and dark world, mirror image kind of thing, she also suggested some ideas like dark academia and light academia, but then we very quickly vetoed that option because I'm not sure if I can pull off dark academia, because last time I tried it, I ended up making it look like light academia. But I'll try it again some other time. We continued to discuss it, and then she suggested the idea of two worlds separated by a mirror instead of what I had originally thought of, kind of drawing a line in between or just having it separated by the break in between two pages. I really liked the mirror idea, magic mirror portal kind of idea. And then we continued to bounce ideas in terms of, she suggested a futuristic dark city and a light cottage country. And then in the end, what I wanted to do is a combination of our ideas in which I would have a fall scene on one side, so taking from her kind of cottage idea but more making it a fall forest, and then on the other side I would do a winter landscape city separated by that mirror idea that she had. And so that's where we got this month's theme. So thank you, Azuki, for your suggestions. It was really fun discussing the ideas with you, and I really love the magic mirror portal. Here I'm painting the winter landscape first. It's inspired by Zermatt, a town in Switzerland in the winter. A snowy town in the winter, in the night, was a theme that I actually wanted to paint at some time anyways, that I had also thought of last year. And so I figured I might as well take the opportunity and paint that here, since I wanted to do something really wintry anyways. I was actually quite worried before starting this painting, and that was because I was planning on doing this theme in watercolor, which I haven't touched for quite a while. For the past few months, I've mostly been practicing gouache, and prior to that, I had painted some watercolor paintings, but I haven't had a lot of practice. I mean, to be honest, I haven't had enough practice with any medium. As you know, I keep hopping around them. And so I was quite worried about being able to achieve the depth and the detail and the contrast in lighting that I was going for in my head. But I'm quite happy actually that I was able to pull off that kind of detail in my painting, even though I suddenly pivoted back over to watercolor. And I think it's because some of the practice that I did with gouache applied to watercolor too, even though they're two different mediums. So yay for that! So for the winter one, that was inspired by the town in Switzerland, but for the fall theme, I really just wanted to go with the flow and whatever I felt like in the moment. So I started off with blobs of water and adding color, then just laying on more color and various shades until I started seeing patterns that I could add to. Like for example, over here, I had some white space in the middle. I figured I could make that into a light dirt path surrounded by some grass and the trees in the background. And then I just added more and more layers to the color so that I could have the gradients of the common fall colors. I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of reds and oranges and greens and also some brown. And then at the end, I plan to add in my holographic watercolor in order to have that extra bit of magic, as I always like to add. I want to go off on a bit of a tangent here and just mention that recently I've been thinking about how another thing that I really appreciate about art is how it's making me love and appreciate all the colors. Before painting, I used to not like certain colors such as oranges and browns, and I didn't like bright colors either. I mostly liked pastel colors and very few colors. But now, after I've been painting more, I've started to really appreciate really the full spectrum of the colors and really loving the colors that I used to hate too, like the bright colors and the oranges and the browns. I find that there's beauty in all of the colors, and it really depends on how you incorporate them into the paintings and how they appear in life. So yeah, that's just one of the many things that I appreciate about art, in that it makes you appreciate all the little things and makes you appreciate things that you didn't see beauty in before. And I just think that's really wonderful. Now, to make the magic mirror Dutch door, I needed to add in 2 colored sheets of paper. Technically, I could have gone with using 2 sheets of bullet journal paper if I wanted to, as I usually do when I add a holographic Dutch door. However, I'm running low on pages for November and December, and I wanted to save enough pages for December because usually I use more pages for December, and so that's why I decided to add in colored paper instead. So what I'm doing here is that I folded flaps on each of the sheets of paper, then I glued down the flaps, one on the left side of the bullet journal page and one on the right side of the right bullet journal page, and then I covered up the flaps with the washi tape borders. Afterwards, I plan to glue on my painting so that the washi tape borders and the flap that's seeping through wouldn't look uneven. I'm roughly sketching an oval for the actual mirror itself. I accidentally glued the 2 colored pages together too early and forgot that I actually still need to wedge in that holographic sheet in between. So I had to pry it apart in order to fit it in, and I'm so thankful that the paper didn't rip because the colored paper is actually quite thin and the glue was actually quite strong, so thankfully it didn't rip from my mistake. Here I'm adding a holographic sticker that I put on a clear plastic sheet, and this will form the center of the magic mirror portal. After securing the sheet in place with some glue tape, I then add more glue tape all across the paper and then secure the 2 pages together. Although this concept originally started with me wanting to save my bullet journal paper and then just casually thinking about which colors would likely match each world, I actually ended up really liking this technique and adding in the colored paper for the Dutch door, and I do think I will use it again in the future. I like the color that it adds to each scene, and I also like how thin the paper is, such that even when I glue 2 sheets together, it doesn't really feel bulky, so definitely gonna do this again. Now I'm adding a golden frame for the mirror for the side that shows the winter scene, and the frame was inspired by, in my mind I was thinking about IKEA mirrors that are often used for wedding signs. I'm not sure if you've seen them before, and I actually don't really know the name of the style of that kind of mirror frame. Comment below if you know what the name is, and I wonder if you know what I'm talking about too. But yeah, I've been seeing a couple of these types of mirrors used all the time for weddings, and so that was the first kind that came to mind when I was painting this frame. I just added some general elements that kind of adhere to that concept, and I didn't want to add too much, partly because at this point I felt a little bit lazy after painting so much already, and also partly because I already felt like the scenes on either side of the mirror are already quite fancy, with a lot of elements, so maximalist basically, and so I didn't think that I should make the frame have too much, otherwise it'd just be overwhelming. As for this side of the mirror for the frame, I arbitrarily decided to go with a kind of branch wreath, and so I started with using my brush pen to add the base color, and then I added more with watercolor, adding some greens in order to show some contrast in the branches, and also adding some vines at the bottom so it gives more of an enchanted forest feel. What magic mirror or enchanted forest is complete without some sort of magic orb made out of a mystic stone? Here I'm adding a small calendar made out of colored paper that I had already pre-measured and drawn out. So I'm just gluing that in on one side. Then for the weekly spreads, I wanted to try a mostly minimalistic style, but also try a different format in which I'm making the days vertical instead of horizontal, which is my usual approach. So in the last few months, I've noticed that I have a lot of appointments to go to, as well as meetings to have for school group projects, and so I kept one separate section in order for me to show the time of day so that I could write down these appointments, and then a bottom section in which I can write out everything else. I have a small section here for my trackers. I had given myself a bit of a break for trackers because it just didn't seem to be working for me, but I'm going to give it another shot this month. And now for a flip through. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you soon.